This is Kobe with the Phoenix Hip Hop Podcast, and I have Malicious China with me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing well, doing well. Yeah, it was cool to have you on. I can't remember how. Actually, I do remember how I first came across you. You did one of those. Is it called on the mic?
Yeah, I was rapping with the mic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was near Chase, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, and definitely like the first thing that stood out to me. Obviously, I mean, you probably get this feedback a lot, but your aesthetic.
Yeah.
You definitely have a very
My look.
specific aesthetic. So that said, I wanted to ask you, how did you sort of develop, Malicious China and your branding and all of your aesthetic?
Okay. So first off, a lot of people want to like brand this like aesthetic and how I look. I just like wearing whatever just looks good and I just like mix it together. I don't go copy off what somebody was wearing, but my favorite color is black. People say it's not a
Okay.
color, but it's fly. I like that. And jewelry, I just throw on whatever pieces are cool. I've always liked silver, so I just throw on whatever fits. The name though, Malicious, just came off of just like my background and what I do. Like I just move off no remorse or anything. So like okay, so that's very malicious. China goes by as like a childhood nickname that I call me China. So
Got it.
when I became like an artist, I'm like I need a name that's gonna pull because granted there's a lot of Chinas out here. So I'm just like okay. So when I put that, it makes it different. So I'm like it meshed like pretty well. So I like it.
Okay. And yeah, I did some research on you. So
Okay.
you're of Mexican heritage, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm Chicana. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what is so I did see that as well, that you're from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
What is your connection to Phoenix? Because it does seem like you're out here quite often.
Yeah, so I moved out here when I was 13, but ever since, like, as I got older, now I, like, jump, like, from there here. But mainly, like, AZ has been, like, my home at this point since
Okay,
I've
so
been
you
since
do-
I was 13. Yeah, I do live
So you do
here.
live here. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. When did you originally decide to take music seriously? Like you transitioned from like a hobby to more of a craft business.
So when I took it serious, well, first off, when I made like the music, this was about probably like 3.5, maybe 4 years ago. This all came off of my roommates that were artists at the time, and it was just a joke. And they're just like, wouldn't it be like cool if like China was like a rapper? I'm just like, nah, I'm not that nah. I'm like, I'm cool. Like, no, we'll write you the song. And at the house, they had studio equipment because they recorded. I didn't.
Okay.
But I'm like, okay, look, I'll do it if you guys write me the song, tell me what to do, how do I do this. I did it for fun. And when I did it, I was paying attention to everybody in the room like, oh my God, this is so far. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take it. All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it. And it just like has been going up like from there, like in like levels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were your friends and family before you started creating music? Like, how did they respond to that?
Well, my family is very supportive. So anything that I do, like if I wanted to like be a scientist tomorrow or something, like okay, cool, yeah. Like they don't judge or anything, but some of them they do know what comes with this rap, behind it, and they're like, I just hope you know that this what comes with it. And I'm like, yeah, like I already know that's what I'm saying. If you move accordingly with this, you won't get into no type of altercation. You move right, everything's gonna go good and everything. It's just strategically how you move with this.
Yeah, that makes sense. When it comes to like the style of rap you do, and anytime I ask artists, like, hey, like, how do you describe your sound? Like, typically they don't like to create a label or whatnot. But that said, there is such thing as genres, right? And there is such thing as subgenres.
That is true.
I try to follow as much or as many subgenres as I can, or at least understand them, right? So I do listen to some like more dark hip hop, and there's like a category called trap metal. Josiah, who follows you, right? He's kind of categorized
my
as
boy. Shout out Josiah.
as trap metal, and then like City Morgue and artists like that. But I wouldn't say you're trap metal. So and trying to understand like what that sort of lane or subgenre looks like, how do you describe it?
It's so hard because right now I feel like with this music, people try to put people in a category. If you're a female that raps about a certain type of thing, they're going to move you to the mainstream. Me, it's very like in the underground. It's different. People don't know where to place me at. So everybody's just like, what do we do with it? But for me, all in all, like I feel like it's underground dark music. I don't even know how to label it myself. I just know that for sure it's underground.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And what like what were you listening to as a fan music wise before you started creating music?
Before I started creating music, I'm not. Well, I listen to a variety. Like I listen to rap music. I listen to indie music. I listen to metal, rock music. So I just listen to like a mix of everything. So that's kind of like how I made up like my sound.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, just a mix.
Yeah, I mean, I watched an interview with you where you're talking about how you found your voice, your rap
Yeah,
voice, right?
I did.
And so it's gone through some evolution.
Definitely.
And so I think the way you described it was that at first you were sort of, I'm paraphrasing, right? I don't remember we said verbatim, but it was like you were kind of mirroring or mimicking maybe some, some other artists, and then over
Right.
time you started evolving to your own voice.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Of course. So when I first like when my two friends at the time, when they're like, okay, we're just gonna, what if like China became an artist, they rapped a certain tone, so I didn't know how to deliver it on a mic because that's not my thing, that's them. But when I did it, I was copying them how they were rapping it. And then in due time, they're like, okay, well, now you need to find your sound. So it took some time, and I'm like, okay, so when they heard it, like, coming out of a female, they're like, oh, this is different. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool. So I just, like, let that ride. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, because I haven't heard nobody sound like that. And that's what I want to be. Like, I want to just be, like, out from sounding like this person or this one. Because there's
Yeah.
a lot of people that sound like the same people, just different forms of what they look like. So it's crazy.
100%. When you first sort of so do you still, I know like on some of your older stuff you're using kind of two different rap voices, and then you'll talk like the song fucked
Oh, yeah.
so you like you rap in one voice and then you do the other voice. Are you
Yeah.
still doing that, or are you kind of sticking to one sort of?
The whispering. So now when when I rap, I like whisper in like a low tone, but I make it very deep. So it took
Okay.
me like a little time to, do that. But as of like rapping in that kind of way, that was a mimic. When I did the song Fucked, I was mimicking one of the artists that I was staying with at the time, or my friend, and he rapped like that. So I copied his flow, and the whispering was just something like, oh, you should like add this. So I was just off them, like, you should do this and make it sound like this. But once I got like my own sound, I made it sound, the way I wanted it to sound. But
Got
I'll
it.
whisper sometimes in my ad libs.
Okay. And I saw you were were you performing at Marquee last night?
Last night, yeah, I was
How-
with Black Cray and all them. It was crazy.
How did that go?
It was crazy. It was fun. Like when I got there, it was very last minute because like when I was supposed to do a set like at 9:30, I get a call at like 9 p.m. They're like, "Where you at? We're waiting for you." I'm running. They threw me the mic. I did my songs, and then everybody just started doing their sets. But it was a really good show. I had fun.
So yeah, so as someone that goes to a lot of shows, I was like, I'm wondering how does sort of your approach to rapping, which is a little lower, but then being on stage with a microphone, with these speakers, like how does that translate?
So that took me a little bit after doing like a couple underground shows out here. It's just practicing like how am I gonna deliver it, because one, I rap super low. Even when I go to the studio and I go to different engineers, they're like, we can't hear you, can you speak up? I'm like, well, that's how I rap. Like you gotta
Okay.
raise the gain up, gang. Like but when I rap on stage, what I do is I have to yell it. Like
Okay.
so when I rap low, I'm gonna have to like say it in a deep tone, like but with my chest, like I have to yell it, but in a deep tone. So I'm still learning how to do that, but it's getting there because I heard my performance on how it sounded. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's decent.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that myself. Like I imagine there's some technical like aspects to it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Being able to do that, and where it's still like you're in these different settings, whether you're in a studio versus like a live performance, like you actually
Yeah.
have to practice and figure out how that translates. Have
Yeah.
you been working on that a while?
Yeah, I have actually, as in like performing, like with trying to like speak up loud versus like how my music sounds.
Yeah, like I'm always fascinated when I go to shows, or like if I'm hearing a recording versus a live performance, typically there's always a little bit of a difference. And so I'm just wondering what that looks
Definitely.
like, what that looked like for you as far as doing that.
For me, I say it in a loud, yeah, just like
Yeah.
how I say it, like loud is kind of like I'm just screaming on the mic, like in a deep tone.
Yeah.
So that definitely takes a lot, but it's practice for sure.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Do you work with like other artists in the Phoenix area?
In the Phoenix area,
Like as far as your beats and stuff like that, like where do you get your beats from?
So my beats, I get them from a couple of people. Like there's AV. He's not in the US. I don't know if he's in Ukraine, I believe. He makes some good beats for like Trippie Redd and a couple artists. But majority of my beats, like I'll go on YouTube and
Okay.
I'll just get the rights for them because I have people that can just easily talk to them and be like, hey, she wants the beat, and they'll just like lease it to me. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
When it comes to sort of like approaching, so you talked about how you got your beats, but like lyrically, I mean, you mentioned you had some folks helping you out with writing and stuff like that. Is that still the case? Or are you writing some of your own stuff now, or?
No, so when I first started, they helped me out with the song "Fucked," and there was another one called "Batman and Robin." They wrote those two for me, but after that, I'm like, okay, this is kind of easy. I could just say this, this, this. So once they wrote it, I kind of got the hang of it easily. So I'm like a visual learner. If they say just do it like this, and I can see it, I'm like, okay, I got it. So if someone told me record, you're gonna punch this, do this, I can do it myself.
Okay.
So that's literally how I learned and picked up. So now I do my own stuff after those two.
Okay. And so, like, how do you write lyrics ahead of time, then find the ideal instrumental? Do you listen to instrumental, then it inspires your lyrics? Is it both? What does that look like?
So it depends on like the mood I'm in, cause if I'm like so me like I have to be pissed off when I like write my music, and I
Okay.
feel like music is genuine when it comes from an emotional place. And some people like to do it just because they like to do it. But me, I feel like it hits better when you feel some type of way. If you feel happy, you make your music when you're only happy, that's cool. When I do it, I have to be mad. I have to feel like frustrated about something. So when I let it out, I'm like, oh, that's hard. So definitely it's the beat that helps me. Because if I'm mad and I listen to like some happy beats or the ones that don't hit, I'm like, okay, we're going to do this like another day. And just listen on YouTube, or I'll hit up a homie to like make me a beat that I'm like, I'm mad, make it sound like this, 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 and they'll cook it. And I'm like, okay, cool, we can do that. But it just definitely depends on the beat for sure.
Okay. And how do you decide when something is complete? Because I've heard some artists, they struggle with like perfectionism as far as like, yeah, like I keep wanting to adjust and tweak. Others, they're just like, no, I'm happy with the first take. What does that look like for you?
As in first take, as in what? As in recording,
Yeah,
like in
like
the
when
studio?
when you're deciding like I like the way this sounds and I don't need to change it anymore. Like I'm ready to release it. Like do you go through a few different iterations of it or?
So my process on how I do it is one, like I'm just, wherever I'm at, I'm listening to the beat, I'm writing to it. When I go to the studio, I don't pay money just to sit there. I already have it laid down. So once I
Okay.
walk in the studio, I already have at least 2, 3 songs laid out. So you could punch in, get this take through, add my ends to them, the libs. We gonna do the next song, the next, the next, the next, and then my engineer, he's quick, he can master it and do what he needs to do. So I come there prepared like at all times.
Okay.
Yeah.
For a lot of your album work is really interesting.
Yeah.
Especially I think I saw so there's like a Goosebumps books influence one.
Oh yeah, my homie Lynch Cassidy, he made those. Those are fire. He does cover art for Xavier Wolf, for Eddie Baker, Bones, Booty Chain,
Okay.
all of them.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, he fire.
it's funny you say Bones. So like one of the visuals I saw, I'm not gonna say it looked like his exactly, but like
Yeah.
the aesthetic sort of reminded me, just because he has like I don't even know what you call it, like a lo-fi kind of dark aesthetic.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fire.
do you? Oh wait, and the other one, did he do the album cover? I think it's like there's a book from the '90s, scary stories to tell in the dark or something like that. He
Yeah.
did that one as well.
Yeah, so me, it's just, I mean, I come up with the ideas. I'm like, how can we make it not look like this? Or, just add a little like face tattoos to this and do this. So he's like, okay, yeah, easy. Because he knows how to easily make a cover art from scratch. He doesn't need to Photoshop or do that. He's like, I could really make you something from scratch. But it's just ideas like of what I like, And it's just like all childhood things. Like,
Yeah.
because I like scary stuff. So I'm like, let's keep it PG, and so let's do a little Goosebumps cover or like scary stories. Those are like my favorite books that I grew up from. So I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I grew up reading those as well.
Yeah, those are fire.
When it comes to your videos, your
Yeah.
video visuals, how do you like? Do you have someone sort of coming up with those? Like, do you have a seed idea as far as like location and look, or Like, what does that look like?
So me, I like my videos to be very cinematic, and I want them to pop out. Because it's one thing if you make the song, and when you make the video, I feel like making a song is one thing. When you make a video, it emphasizes what you were saying on that song. So I like watching movies all the time, so I want to make it as cinematic as possible. So I like to, hit up my videographer and make like a vision board, or I'm like, I have this idea, or it just depends, like out the box. But all in all, I want it to be cinematic and kind of like eerie, and it to say like the message and stuff. Cause like as said before, like all my songs come from like a dark place, so I want you to feel like that.
Yeah, you're one of those artists for sure where it's like there's some artists where you really the visual makes a lot of difference, right?
Yeah.
Like pairing it with the music. Like you could just listen to the music, but when you see the visual, it's like a whole different experience.
Not from the block, he not from the trenches. Crossing them off, we leaving him exits. That's not a Glock, he don't got a weapon. China and first, he's steady.
And you're certainly in that lane, right?
Thank you, yeah.
When it comes to how people receive you as far as like the feedback they give you, I mean, you do have a very specific, look and stuff like that. I mean, what kind of feedback do you get?
As in what, like comments from like fans or?
Yeah, I mean, do you find? I mean, are there people like hating on what you're doing?
Oh, what? Pfft, crazy! Yeah, they're just like, who does think she is? Billie Eilish? Like, this is a female Lil Xan. She sound like Lil Wop. And I'm just like, okay. But I let them say whatever, because how I say, like, all publicity is good publicity, and even if you speaking, I don't know if I could cuss on here. But if you but if you speaking hot shit about me or you talking spicy on the internet, you still took the time out of your day to write that comment, to repost it, to share to somebody and be like, bro, look who she thinks she is. Now you just added another viewer from somebody else, and they gonna keep. That's what I'm saying. It's like an algorithm, so it's just like, okay, cool, but yeah. I don't let that faze me. Like, you still watched it, so yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because it feels like people that really invest in a certain image or aesthetic or whatever, those are the ones that get so much hate. So
they blow us up on purpose.
Yeah. Or like the show last night, for example, like how did that come together?
That was random. I just got thrown on their tour, like on a random date. So I had Gross, shout out Gross if you see this. So he hit me up asking me if I want to be on the show and everything. And I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, cool. Because I'm going on tour in 2 weeks with NASCAR and Death Proof and all that.
NASCAR Ella?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going on tour with them. And so I'm going to be there on the next date. So when they threw me on this, I'm like, yeah, I'll pop out for the day. That's cool. Yeah, let's do it. So that just happened yesterday. I'm like, all right, cool. Here's my set list. Here's what we going to do. And yeah, that was crazy how like all that like happened.
What are some of the stops you're making for the tour with NASCAR Ella?
So I believe I'm going to Colorado. I'm going back here. I'm going to Phoenix. And then I think it's San Diego, and then Santa Ana is the last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to like EPs and projects, it seems like so much more common now where artists are just doing EPs versus albums.
Yeah.
It's like more rare now to see albums.
Yeah.
What is your approach? Are you just mostly doing EPs, or do you plan to do any albums?
I've been I do EPs because it's more like, well, first off, like when I make my songs, they're probably like a minute long. Like I'll just do like a cool 16, hook, boom, done. Because how I see it is just like, I'll give the fans like enough to listen to, but that'll make them want a little bit more. So you drop a whole album, 50-50, they might not even play all the 24, 25 tracks that you got. So it's kind of like you go to Costco, you get a little sample, you're like, damn, I want more. So that's what I like to do to them. So I'm like, okay, you got a little bit of this. They're like, damn, I just heard it all today, bro. When you going to drop the net? You have to wait. So
yeah. Attention spans are really interesting to me these days because so many artists like drop so frequently. Mm-hmm. It seems like I see quite often someone will post something they just release, and then you already see comments, all right, when is the next one?
Yeah.
Is it a lot of pressure to sort of stay active and like just consistently drop new music?
No, not really. I mean, I'm already aware that people's attention span is short nowadays because there is I don't know if it's still on Instagram, but it shows you how long people can watch a video and they stop. Nowadays, people just watch a reel for like 4 or 5 seconds. If it doesn't interest you, they swipe up. So now I'm like, oh, okay, if that's what I'm doing and I'm peeping, like, game what I'm doing. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to drop my snippets for 4 to 5 seconds. Refresh it, now I got 1,000 because everybody's attention span is so short to watch that 4 or 5. They won't scroll up. My snippet's already done, and you just played it. Okay. So, yeah, that's what I like to do. Same thing with my EPs, just make it short, and that's what I'm saying, just attention span and everything.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Yeah, like, I don't know where that trend started, but it used to be like songs were like between 3 to 4 minutes, and now it's like almost seems like the average song is like 1.5 to 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, me.
But, yeah. When it comes to sort of marketing yourself, right? So, you're on IG. Are you on TikTok?
Yeah, I am on TikTok.
Okay. Yeah. It seems like everyone's on TikTok now.
Yeah.
What, like, a lot of people I would hear say IG is dead in the sense like they complain about the algorithms and TikTok is where you should market, but like what is your experience been?
Well, I like Instagram, like, because Instagram blew me up. And Instagram is one of my biggest handles. If I go on TikTok, I'm just bullshitting, just posting shit. But it's just that I just post whatever on there. Because TikTok was actually booming for a minute, but now everybody, like, got on the wave, and now people aren't really watching things like that. I could be wrong, but for me, like, Instagram helped me out because the On The Mic video, that wasn't monetized or anything, and I'm the one that made the post, and it just blew up overnight. Like, it had like 100K. Kanye see my story. It just hit a good algorithm randomly. And yesterday, I had a few people approach me. They're like, hey, aren't you the girl that was rapping on the mic? I'm like, what? They're like, this you? And I'm still on people's Discover pages. So that video is still on people's thing. And I'm like, damn, shout out IG, because I didn't even monetize it. So it definitely is, like, good to post reels. Like, if it's TikTok or IG, but IG got it for me right now. Yeah, okay. If I had to pick.
yeah, definitely. That's how I found you.
Yeah.
What is the most challenging thing about being Malicious China?
For me, it's probably the scene. A little bit, like, the hate and everything, because I'm really trying to put everybody together. But I feel like nowadays it's just hard. Everybody's just trying to get their way up to the top, but it's just like a selfish thing. So I'm like, okay, well, if it's just like a one-man thing, then I'm just gonna do my own thing, and that's it. But yeah, it is kind of challenging as a female because it's just like I feel like it's an ego thing with a female and a male. Like, okay, let's see who's harder. I'm like, oh yeah, all right. But I move humble and genuine, so I'm just like, okay. But that's pretty much like an obstacle, but I don't really let it faze me. But that's just probably like one thing that kind of like was like in a way.
Do people, watching the interview you did, the podcast, how was it?
La Finiquera podcast.
Okay, yeah, shout out those guys. Yeah, super nice guys. Watching your interviews, like, you seem like a very nice, nice person.
Cool as hell.
Very social. But when obviously you have a certain aesthetic and brand, are people hesitant to approach you? Like, do they think you're going to be difficult or something else?
Yes.
Okay.
Every time, like yesterday, like it was just a random like that. There's like no names I can draw, but somebody like, can I give you a hug? And I'm like, what? I'm a big fan, and they're like people that are higher than me. I'm like, hell yeah. They're like, I got put on to like I was like kind of intimidated so then they started saying that they were intimidated and everything. I'm like, no, it's cool, but it's just probably like the way I hold myself, and people kind of get intimidated, but nah, like we be the sweetest people.
Yeah. I always before I started doing all this stuff, I was always watching rapper interviews, and I always like to compare like how are they just in a conversation versus like their art, right? And a lot of some like they come off the same, as some quite different.
Yeah, or some walk in with an ego, too cool, and I'm just like,
Yeah. How has like in Phoenix in general, like what do you, I like to ask this question because so for my podcast, I try to cover every aspect of the Phoenix hip hop scene, like all different genres and subgenres.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, it seems like very fragmented in the sense like there's not a lot of unity or cohesion, kind of. You alluded to it, right? Like you're just doing your own thing. Mm-hmm. But is that what it looks like to you?
Yeah, what do you mean, like a separation, like with the scene, like in Phoenix?
Do you feel like it's one single community, or do you feel like it's a bunch of people, kind of like you said, like trying to get to the top, just like being competitive, not from a sport perspective, but from like an ego perspective?
Yeah, like how I would try to put it, like into a perfect perspective. Let's put it like high school. You got the band geeks, you got the popular kids, you got the people that play sports. That's how the scene is. Like there's the ones that make, like Kendrick Lamar type music, and there's the one that make like the punk rock kids that make this, and then there's the rappers on this side. So everybody is like clicked up, but no one really wants to come together because it's more of a ego thing. Like, no, we're gonna make it, not your da da da. But yeah, I'm just like in my own lane. I'm just the one that's just like walking dolo with a book. Like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah, well, that was my next question. I was gonna ask you, like, is there anyone, not that they would sound like you or look like you, but like, is there anyone in this? Because I only know of two guys. I met them maybe a month and a half ago.
Okay.
Shout out Our Knives and Andretti.
Raise up in the darkness.
And they do more of like a darker style of hip hop.
Yeah.
But are you aware of anyone in this area that does something similar?
Like dark music?
Yeah, like hip hop. Whether it's like aesthetically or just like, you know, more like aggressive, you know, sounding or.
Honestly, no. But I mean, people that are already like up there, yeah. You know, I can name people that rap
for
like
sure.
that.
Yeah. Who are I mean, we talked about Josiah. We talked about NASCAR Arlo is so good.
Yeah, he is.
You know, I'm a huge fan of Zilla Kami and Sauce Miller, like City Morgue.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do you like in that genre, in that area?
Well, I feel like, I mean, I could name drop everybody in Death Proof. Like, all of them are hard. Like,
I have not. I've heard the name, but I have not heard them yet. So I'll check them out. What's like a great Death Proof song to check out?
Ooh, with all of them, I don't even know which one they made like all together as a group. I just know like individually.
Okay.
No, but they're all hard.
Going back to performing, so you're gonna be on tour here soon, and when does that start?
I think that's the 19th.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's the 19th for Denver.
And when will the Phoenix show be?
The 21st, I believe.
Okay.
I think it's the 21st. I think it's it's a Valley Bar, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love Valley Bar. I'm sure you've been there, right?
I never been.
Okay.
No.
Really cool venue.
Okay, cool.
It's kind of weird to find when you first go. Like, you'll go in an alley, then you go downstairs.
Oh.
There's 2 stages.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it's really cool. When it comes to your set list, what is your set list going to look like?
So I already have my set list ready. Like, I always like, as in like what songs or yeah. So I just have seen experiences where the DJ, like, it cuts off, the song doesn't transit. So I don't like doing that. So what I do now is I go to my engineer, and what he does is he's like, just pick the songs. He adds the effects. All the DJ got to do is just press play. That's all you got to do.
Okay.
Yeah, because people like it, like the song ends, and I've seen it at some people's sets last night, and there was like just dead air. Nobody was saying anything, and they're trying to hype up the crowd. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. What is your preparation for it? So like, performing there's a physical aspect to it, right? You're moving around. There's a mental aspect as far as, being in the right mindset. What is your approach to preparing for a live performance?
Me, like before getting on stage and then getting on stage, or as soon as I'm on stage? Well,
just beforehand, like, do you have any sort of like preparation? Like, it could be just like making sure you know your lyrics, or maybe that's not an issue for you. It could be, some cardio to make sure you're like, just,
Yeah. I just drink water before I perform because I've had my voice cracked during like some performance, like in the very, very beginning, like these big shows now, I have to make sure that don't happen. But like the baby ones, I'm like, it's a start to like do that. But that's just things that you just learn along the way. Like, okay, now I got to do this before I perform. Stay hydrated, because I've seen people pass out at their own sets and doing this because they didn't take their vitamins, or didn't do this and that. So it's just like, oh, it's a mess. So I come prepared. So I make sure I stay hydrated. And my set, I already know the songs in the back of my head. I'm like, okay, I already know it's about to transition right here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And just interacting with the crowd. Even if they're not trying to interact, I'm going to still interact.
Yeah. Like, what? Like, do you try to, because like, some artists will be like, hey, do this specific thing, or say this chorus when I say this. Like, do you do that as far as like prepping the crowd for interaction? That,
no, like, I mean, how do I explain it? So as me, I don't have a solidified DJ yet to do that type of interaction so we can both go back and forth. That'll be hard. But for now, what I do is I just interact with the crowd regardless. Like, I try to make sure they open up a pit, cause a mosh pit, do something. That's what I'm saying. Like, you guys just didn't pay just to, like, sit here. Yeah, y'all came for this certain artist to see him perform, but come on, we got to move. We got to get y'all warmed up. So that's what I try to do.
Performing with other artists, I've always wondered this because I've seen other artists in the crowd watch, you know, who they open up for, or even you know, openers or the headliner watch the opener.
Yeah.
Do you stick around and watch the performances?
Yeah, that's what I did yesterday. So once I performed like my songs and stuff, I just finished until like the whole set, like the whole show was over.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you ever been watching someone and you're like, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. I should try something similar. Like is it a way for you to also like sort of polish your craft, or does it inspire you in any way?
In the beginning, it did because, like I mentioned, like I didn't really go to shows, but once I started like doing the music, I started like seeing people's sets like towards the end. I'm like, okay, how does he move? How does he interact with the people? Some do, some don't. But it's just more so just trying to interact with them and just see how they move with the crowd. So I just like pay attention, not copy all the way, but I just see how they work with their crowd.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is, I don't know if you have an opinion or answer for this question, but being sort of like you talked about getting, you know, sort of hate and negativity or things like that, and just understanding how social media is. What is like the most commonly misunderstood thing about you, other than you being like not approachable? Is there anything else?
I don't anything. Oh wait, I can't hear myself. But yeah,
like people will think something specific about you, or like, I mean, I know you have a little bit of you have a background, like domestic violence background or something like that, right? Like, are people like scared? Like, what's the most misunderstood thing about you?
For me, it is like my charges, but like I'm saying, like the AZ scene, I've been around like a bunch of people, and there's people that I'm not like tight with no more, so they're just gonna say this, and people go by off like word of like mouth and what they heard about this, whoop wop, and so yeah. So when I get approached, even yesterday, they're like, "Oh, well, I heard this," and I'm like, "Well, it's not business. I don't really care to hear it and stuff." But that's what I'm saying. Like the real gonna fuck with me. So everybody else is just like they still gonna watch. They just not gonna say anything. So it's okay.
When I see you, I think of someone that has like a cult following, right? Because you just have a very I don't know, you just invest so much into your brand, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. No, yeah, like, sir, they DM me every day, like, even though I don't respond back, like, they just tell me good morning, like, I just heard your song today, this made me feel like this, and they're just consistently talking to themselves all day, and, like, sometimes when I find time, I'm like, hey, thank you, I just seen this, blah, blah, blah.
So they'll just be sending you a message, like,
they just talk to themselves
without
all
replies?
day.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, but yeah.
What's one of the, like, the weirdest, or what's, like, a weird interaction you've had, or someone, like, on social media?
Like, in person?
Oh, yeah, either.
Okay, so I went to I had a lot of interactions like in person out here, like gas stations. So one day I went to Fry's, and it was just some tall ass dude, and I was just trying to get some flowers, and he's just like, Malicious China, and I like turned, and I'm like, yeah. He started shaking like really bad, and I thought he was gonna pass out. And I told one of my people, like, yo, can y'all grab him? He looks like he's going to pass out. And he grabbed him, and, like, we sat him down. And I'm like, are you good, bro? He's like, can I take a picture with you? And I'm like, yeah, what? Like, why are you speaking like that? So he started, like, shaking and everything. He was just, like, nervous. But he was just, like, a really big fan. And I'm just like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, because I mean, I would think you are very recognizable. There's certain artists, like, you can maybe tell it's them or not. But, yeah, you'd be recognized. I mean, when you're going to Fry's, actually, that's something I'm not. Are you like Malicious China going grocery shopping also, or like? Yeah,
like I just go to the store and get what I need with my BT cord, like, and I like even too, like when I go to like a couple gas stations, someone be like, hey, like I see you on the mic video. So now when I go to gas stations, like I get free stuff just because it's me. They're like, yeah, you can get whatever you want, da da da. Like we fuck with you, So I'm just like, oh, cool, bet. So I just get like love out here from like random people that work at QT, random people at Fry's, fans. Like it's crazy.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna be going on that tour. Music wise, like, do you have anything else planned in the or for 2024?
For 2024, definitely working on a project right now with a bunch of people that I can't speak on, but yeah, and it'll be fire.
That'll be an EP as well.
Yes, it'll be an EP.
Have you put any thought into like the the album. Like I really like your album design. Like they're just so interesting looking.
Yeah.
Have you put in any investment into that yet or not yet?
Not yet. I'm trying to. So what I like to do. So I work backwards. I don't know if some people do like the album cover first and then they already have the songs in the file. I wait for the certain songs because I'm really picky with my tracks.
Yeah.
Which ones are the hardest, and then I think of what are these songs combined into like a feeling, and then I put it on the art. So I'm like, okay, this is what it's giving. So it makes sense. And like the title too. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
the title. I was gonna ask you about that. I was just talking to a local producer, Ben Sheps, who's here, and we're just talking about like we were going through some of his beats. He's like, yeah, you know, I title it with the first thing that pops into my mind. When it comes to your songs, though, how do you decide what to title them?
With me, the songs, I just make it simple. Like I go by like what words I repeat a lot, you know? And it's all like from emotion. Like when I say stick, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna call it stick or it. It's just that it's very simple because people put like long titles and stuff. It's just like, okay, because my name's already long as is. It's just like, okay, so you just put stick, Malicious China. Okay, cool. So I just like simplify it. So it's not too hard. It's just right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask you as well because one of the things that seems like challenging for many and not for others is like coming up with like hooks and choruses.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people that can rap really well, but maybe their hook or chorus will, you know, not be so great.
Yeah.
How do you approach coming up with your chorus or hook?
It's pretty. I mean, it's very repetitive.
Yeah.
So I just be like stick.
Yeah.
So I have to find like a hard beat and stuff. And most of my music is show music. Cause that's something that's gonna catch like the crowd. So if I just say stick, it's so easy to catch that. Or it's like you ain't it, I am it. Like everyone starts saying it over and over. So the more you repeat it, it clicks in your brain. So it's just like if you repeat certain bars in a song, that's the bar that they're gonna sing back at you at a show. Cause it's so easy to remember. So once you catch that, yeah. So I always do it from the beginning and the end because it's so like it's easy to catch on.
Okay.
That's what I do.
And then you mentioned that you create music from a place of anger.
Yeah, I do.
What if you're not angry though? Like,
then I won't make music.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, like that's where it has to come from me personally, because that is just like how I figured it out. Because let's say like a couple of these artists, like they make music when they're heartbroken by a fee, and like that's how they make their hard music. So it's just like, oh, like, cause some be excited, like, hell yeah, you broke up with his bitch, now he gonna make fire music, So, so it's just the people have their own thing of how they make it. They make it from pain. It's emotion. Me, I do it when I'm mad, and when I do it, I'm just like, okay. And it took me a while to be like, oh, this is where the hard like shit comes from. It's just like from where I'm at, like mentally. So I'm just like, okay, cool. But so yes, when I'm mad, I just speak what I have to say on that song, and then I'm okay.
What if you're having a great day and like you're like really appreciating life, right? So, you know, and you just like thought of like some like interesting line. You're like, man, that would sound so good in a song. Would you just completely dismiss that?
Dismiss what, having a good day?
No. Like taking the feeling from that good day. Like if you. I mean, I don't know if you would ever think of like a lyric while you're in a good mood, but like pretend you did. You thought of something, but it sounded pleasant and it sounded upbeat. Would you just never make music with that feeling?
I mean, I would. I mean, there's probably like some bars where I was just like, okay, I was like in a decent funk, like in this bar, but everything else is just pissed off. But I could mesh it. I could make it work.
Yeah.
I could make like a good day sound like a dark day.
Okay. Yeah, because like I really appreciate. I like angry. I like angry music for the idea that anytime like expressing all of the qualities of a human being is interesting to me, right? And anger and aggression, negativity exists in all of us. But yeah, it does. Like just the idea of like thinking about you just wanting to create or something and not being mad. It's interesting to like imagine that, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever had to force yourself to become mad at something to get in that creative mind state?
Yeah, like literally there's like a couple sessions where people wanted to just randomly work after my studio session. It was their session. They're like, I need you on a song. I'm like, all right, come on. And I'm not even mad. I'm just like, I just released everything an hour ago in the booth. And so when I like rap, I'm like, okay, let me just say some dark stuff real quick. And yeah, so I have to like get myself in that zone. But it works though.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Is there any like, have you ever had a song where it was someone in your personal life that inspired that anger, and like, do they know about that?
A song, like if it's out right now?
Yeah, like I mean, you said you make your music from a mostly being angry, but obviously the people around you could anger you. Like, have you ever made a song and they would know that, oh, I pissed you off that day, and this is the result of that?
Yeah, probably like an ex or something. Probably heard a song and he's just like, oh, I know that was about me. Like, because some of the bars be like too like, oh, okay, type. But yeah, this is a couple songs where you can just tell like who hurt you. Like you could like like when people heard Stick, they're like, oh yeah, she was talking about this. Like the guys from the podcast, the Finiquera podcast, they called it out too. They're just like, you said something about this, so people can quickly catch on that it's like some shade or like a diss that I'm saying it, but it's all from a dark place. So I'm like, okay, I just had to get it on my chest real quick.
So you mentioned having a song about an ex, but so speaking of like relationships and stuff like that, have you like, I can only imagine, like, trying to imagine you like casually dating and like someone's like swiping on you and then going to look at your music on YouTube. Like I would,
oh no,
like they would be super scared probably to meet you. What does that look like for you?
It's intimidating. Like it's kind of hard like to get into a relationship because they already do their research.
While I'm moving, he think he coming over to get fucked. Little do we know he about to get fucked. Run off with his chain, should've kept it tucked. Gripping his toe while his kids sleeping. Tiptoeing through the crib, trying to be sneaky. Been on his drink,
you know? And it's just like, I feel like what I'm attracting is what I am. Like, you are what you attract, you know? Like, me, I'm attracting a bunch of AZ artists or just any type of artists, like, global, they're just everywhere. And they do the research, and they're like, oh, nah. Like, they start swiping, and then they do the research, like, no, I'm cool. But it's kind of hard because, like, you already put on this thing about you in your song, so people are just like, damn, like, how do I see a future with this female and this and that? But it's only if they like want to take their time and get to know me, then we can do that. But yeah, you do, like, when you rap, you have like it's you in like the real world, and then it's your alter ego. It's like that, but I'm just like, that's not me. Like, but yeah.
Do you find that like people are confused about the difference between like, you as an artist versus you as a person?
Yeah, like my friends, they know who I am. They're like, okay, we know that when she's on stage and she's this, that's China. And then when she, when she comes home and when she comes kick it with us, that's the other China. So they know how to like differ like the both. But as of people on the outside that don't really know me, they're just always gonna see me as China, somebody that just does reckless shit and just talk shit and does this and does that. But so it's pretty much a little bit of both.
Okay. Well, cool. So anything else before we wrap it up? Anything else you wanted to? I mean, we talked about this show. One more time. When will the Phoenix show be?
It will be. Let me check. I think it's on the 21st.
Okay. Of April, right?
Yes, it is. Okay, I'm right. It's the 21st.
Okay, 21st, and where? Valley Bar.
It should be at the. Yes, I know it's the Valley Bar. But
yeah.
Yeah.
So Valley Bar, and then like, I know you said you're gonna drop something later, but anything that you worked on recently that you want to call attention to?
Yeah, I dropped a snippet, and it's an unreleased song, but it's called "He Talked to the Feds."
He talked to the feds.
He talked to the feds.
Okay.
That shit is fire.
I'm gonna check that out. Is that gonna have a visual as well eventually?
There is a visual. It's
there is. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little snippet.
Well, cool. Well, yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to come up here.
Of course.
I interview typically a lot of nerdy, lyrical, artsy rappers. I've never interviewed someone like you. So it's a cool experience to kind of step out sort of my wheelhouse of folks that I'm typically talking to, and you're very nice in person. So
Thank you.
It's great to meet you.
Thank you. Vice versa.
Malicious China.
You can speak on one, this us, we laugh, you can keep on. Couldn't be me fucked up in a Nissan blue. Remember you called police on? Same ass bitch, I start with the keys on. China a dog spit fire with the heat on. Huh, pussy, you know what I be on. Going outside by a hoe with a weave on. Had the hoe out till she get the whole weave off. China a bitch, you know what I be on.